Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Small Business Optimizer. Today, we're going to talk about why you need to do more of what you love. Now, of course, we all love to eat chocolate. We all love to have like a nice dinner out. I'm actually talking about doing the things you love in your business. Heck, you might actually throw a few of those fun personal things in too. And wouldn't it be nice if you had a business where you could take more time to do those fun things in your life? Get a massage, go on some tropical vacations, spend more time with the people that you love. Well, today my guest is going to help us see some really simple ways and share a great resource with us to help us do more of what we love, to help us thrive financially, energetically, and in our impact. So I'm Melanie Benson Strick. If we haven't met yet, I'm known as America's leading small business optimizer. And you have tapped into our podcast where every week I'm highlighting strategies and techniques to help you accomplish more and work less in your business. Now, let me introduce you to someone who I just think is so amazing. I've been getting to know her recently, and I've just been so enthusiastic about everything she's doing. And she recently invited me to participate in this amazing summit, which we'll be talking about more, all about doing more of what you love. So this is Jackie Kotei. Jackie, I hope I said your last name right.
Yes, perfectly.
She's a marketing coach, and she helps people to live their dreams and thrive by teaching them how to market themselves like the pros do. Now, if you love what you do, this can sometimes be one of the things that eats us up a little bit, gets us a little conflicted and confused because we love what we do, but we oftentimes don't love the marketing. So this is so important. Thanks, Jackie, for being here today.
Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for having me. I love interviews. I love talking about what I do, and so excited to share this time with you.
Yeah, I just think that anytime we can maybe learn one thing that's going to transform our success, be able to help us achieve more of it without having to be so stressed out all the time, it's totally worth it. Sometimes it's just that one thought, that one idea that changes everything. So let's talk a little bit about your background first. I think sometimes it's fun to know like where someone comes from, how did they get into this entrepreneurial space? So how did you get into being an entrepreneur?
Wow. Well, I'll give you the short story. So I was actually, I had a heavy influence by my grandfather. And at the time, I never called him an entrepreneur. I just knew that granddaddy got to spend time with me. He was always at school plays. He was always there, to cheer me on when I won something. And it was because he had his own business. He was a cab driver and he also was a mechanic. And he just was really the foundation of our family, the bedrock of our family, taught me how to write checks, taught me how to read, and just so many great things. And so that seed was planted from a very early age. Now, like everyone, I took a lot of detours. I went to college. I did all the responsible professional things, straight A student, and went to school and decided I wanted to be a journalist and wanted to be able to tell great stories. That was really the reason why I wanted to be a journalist. And so I got a chance to really live my dreams. I worked behind the scenes in production, and then I worked on TV as a television reporter, and it made me really jaded and it made me really stressed out. I spent a lot of times, just covering stories that were doom and gloom, just some of the hard things that you see on the news. And it really got me disenchanted with that type of career. Everyone else kind of looked at me when I said I wanted to leave the business and start my own business, like I had like horns coming out or like I was crazy. But I just knew that what I really wanted to do was tell great stories and help people really get their message out there. And so I left the business of TV and started my own business. That business actually failed. I didn't know what I knew now. Went back to work at a 9-to-5 and then figured, I'd dust myself off and try it again. And this time around, it's really been incredible because of some of the mentoring that I've been able to get, but also really creating a business that was authentically me. I wasn't trying to, build a business that, everyone else had. I was really trying to build a business that really spoke to what I love to do and how I love to do it. And that's really what's been the transformation this time around.
Wow, you just said a couple really vital things, and I want to go so many different places. But I think one of the challenges that entrepreneurs face is, how do I create a business that feels authentic? And what I've noticed is, for many of us, if it's not authentic, the inspiration just tails down, right? Like we just spiral out of wanting to do anything. And when you have a business that really fires you up, it's usually because it feels completely aligned with the things that are important to you. So now, you mentioned that your first business failed.
Yes.
And my guess is there were some challenges that you learned a great deal from. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced on your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, well, I could write a book about it. I know you probably could too, Melanie.
Maybe we should.
The first business, I really didn't understand. I knew that I had something that I was great at doing, but I didn't understand what to charge people. As a woman, especially, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is like what to charge, what's fair in business negotiations, what's not. How do I run the business? Like, how do I run the invoicing and the tracking and things like that? And so that's what really caused my first business to fail. I didn't really understand business, and I really didn't understand how to leverage my time. I was trying to do everything in the business. I also had a newsletter, and I always tell people this story when I say don't give up on your newsletter. I was one of those excited business owners who put my first newsletter together, and I sent it out to all my friends and colleagues I had covered in the news, and only about 20% of people opened it. And then for the months, it's like that number dropped and people unsubscribed. And I was like, ugh. So that was one of the other things that really failed, was that I didn't understand what my expectation should have been. I was excited about my business, but not everyone was. And not everyone wanted to get, oh, this is what this costs, and this month I'm selling this. They wanted to really be, that relationship to be nurtured, and for me to really give away valuable information. And I didn't understand any of that. So that was the biggest failure in that first round of my business. And even to start my business again, it really took me digging really deep as to the reason why I was starting my business. The second time around with me starting my business, I was so afraid. And I always tell people this story, not so that they can beat themselves up, but just so that they understand that they're not the only ones that go through it. It took me an entire year to actually start my to start the second time around, because I just was so afraid. I really just was so frozen with what I didn't know. And I was so afraid of failing that I didn't even start. It took me actually giving birth to my son and feeling like, well, hey, if I can give birth, then I can do anything. Start again. And that's what you see now. But those are some of the lessons that I learned that first time around.
Yeah. It's funny. I really hear a lot of me in your story. I didn't start two businesses, but my business has gone through many reiterations, and it was really hard to get it off the ground, because I just had that sheer lack of like, I kind of missed what you have. Like, we would have made a great team because I knew how to run it all, but I didn't know how to market myself. And I really struggled with doing something that I actually didn't feel passionate about, but I knew I had to learn to do. Wow. And I wonder, with our theme today being around doing more of what you love, how does someone in your mind, or maybe how did you get over something that you didn't really love to do, but you knew had to be done in order to grow your business and become successful?
Yeah, for me, it was really a matter of letting go of control. I'm the oldest child.
Me too.
I am a type A-ish personality, and it really was about me letting go of control. So what really helped me step into being able to, to keep going and to keep putting, and I always tell people, just put one foot in front of the other. You may not have the whole picture figured out, but if you can just take one step, then that is huge to be able to start doing what you love. So for me, it was a matter of figuring out what I am great at. And it might even be an exercise that you do, is what do you love to do? And what are the things that you don't understand or you don't know how to do? And that's when you can get help and support. Support comes in so many levels. For me, it was hiring a coach. Mm-hmm. That was a huge investment in my business, is admitting that, okay, maybe I could learn from someone else about how to build a successful business. And that was huge. Another thing for me was hiring members on my team, like a virtual assistant. And even though I'm pretty techie, I still have my virtual assistant do some of the things that take longer. I mean, I would love to be designing my newsletters and love to be, organizing some of the things that go on our social media page, but that's something that, at the end of the day isn't the best use of my time. And that is something that when it came to my blog and some of the things that I'm like, okay, I probably need to freshen up my skills on, it was so much easier to be able to get help to do that. And that was, it took a huge mind shift because originally I thought, I'm not making any money in my business. How am I going to afford to pay for someone to be my assistant or to coach me? But once I decided to make those investments, it's amazing how much my business grew. And even now, and every time I'm about to make an investment in my business, it's always like, okay, what is the value going to be? What is the thing that's going to help me on the back end? So that's kind of where
I just want to be really clear. I have not paid Jackie to say anything she just said. This was not rehearsed. I had no idea she was going to say. I mean, you literally, everything I believe that's important for an entrepreneur, you just shared. And I think many of us neglect the very things that will propel us forward. And you just nailed two of the big ones.
Great minds think alike.
Many of us had to find that same path.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Melanie, but for me, it was pretty painful before I hired a virtual assistant. I literally spent time doing a project that it just exhausted me, and so the short version of this is don't go through the pain and the exhaustion before you admit that you need help. Really, just ask for help on the front end. And if I look at that year that I really spent just frozen, if I had asked for help so much earlier, I think about all the people I get to impact now and all the stories I hear, even from, as you guys check out the summit, I always get emails back from people like, wow, I love that interview. And I know you guys are going to love the interview we did with Melanie, but it's, if I think about the impact I could have been making in that first year that I just sat on the sidelines and didn't do anything, if I just asked for help earlier, imagine where I might be now. And so I just say, don't go through the heartache and don't go through the same pain. Just trust me. Just get the help on the front end.
That's such great advice. Such great advice. And I think, this idea of doing what we love maybe can feel a little out there, right? It's like we get so much media and there's so many memes out there about work harder, grind it out, like don't go to sleep at night, like just work. And I know sometimes there's a lot of hard work involved. I happen to be at a place in my business where I don't have to work as hard. It's more about optimizing and just fine tuning things to get more power. But, I think there's something really powerful about understanding that sweet spot of really spending time in the things that we love to do.
Yeah.
But then there's all the stuff we have to do. So Jackie, here's my question. What do we need to learn from you today about marketing what we love when we don't love marketing?
What I would say is, first and foremost, it's about, and this is what I always share with clients, it's about showing up. And it's about showing up fully.
Yes.
So, when you think about what you're great at, when you think about whatever you were meant to serve the world with, it's really about you just making a decision to show up fully. I've gotten so much from being the first one to raise my hand, or the first one to volunteer, or the first one to go ahead and send that newsletter, even when I think it's less than, or it's not worthy, or it's not great. Just being willing to come into your business or come into whatever it is that you love and show up fully, that to me is marketing 101. That's the internal part of marketing that people don't always talk about. So first, being willing to show up fully. The other thing is really making a decision that you are going to get uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know, I'm one of those people that have been in the front of the scene forever. So I know it's in my DNA, but I know I have colleagues that's not in their DNA. And you have to decide for you what will be the parts of your business that you're willing to get a little bit outside of your comfort zone. And the more that you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone when it comes to marketing, maybe it's you're not comfortable sending a newsletter, or maybe you're not comfortable doing video. just start in little increments. Maybe it's you do one video a month, and that's a start. I promise you, and this is coming from a former reporter, that the more you do it, the more you almost like build a muscle, and it just becomes easier and easier. You are going to hate yourself at first when you see yourself on camera, you see you do something that's outside. You're going to be like, oh, wow, that wasn't great. I didn't look great. Even reporters still do that. I have colleagues that are like, I look so fat. And I'm like, girl, you look great, So just know that that is human, that we're not used to seeing ourselves on TV. We're not used to hearing ourselves. These are like inventions that have taken place in the last 100 or 200 years, and not for all of, centuries. So I say that that's really important. It's really important when it comes to marketing to be willing to show up fully. And it's really important to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone just a little bit when it comes to visibility, and decide what that is for you. Decide what areas you want to be able to do that, but you are going to have to be seen. And I know that phrase is like a big exhale, but you are going to have to be seen as you grow your business.
Yeah, and that's very true. I know a lot of people that kind of got that tall poppy syndrome where they're kind of afraid to raise their head and be seen in the sea of competition. It's much easier just to blend in and not stand out. And so I'm going to dig in just a little bit more into this marketing conversation, because I think it is probably one of the biggest Achilles heels for passionate, creative entrepreneurs. What would you say is your favorite marketing approach that let's talk strategy, social media, video marketing, telesummits, whatever. What is the one thing that allowed you to be most authentically you, to do what you love, and attract the kind of clients you want to work with?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that two ways if it's okay with you.
Sure, go for it.
A lot of what I do with people is helping them with the internal parts of marketing to be able to have a bigger effect externally. So one thing that I am definitely a fan of, and if you haven't guessed, is that I love video. So I love it because it allows you to connect with someone like you never can if you're reading or if you're even talking to them on the phone. So I definitely encourage people, especially as you're building businesses in this day and age, and this is for any niche. This is if you're a doctor, it's if you're a coach, it's if you're a hairstylist. Any niche can really benefit from video. It just allows you to connect in such a profound way that you would be really surprised as you look at studies and what it's telling people. I mean, video is the number one consumed thing, when it comes to mediums out there. So that's my favorite marketing technique. But what I would also say when it comes to, what my favorite strategy is, it's really a strategy of consistency combined with momentum. And what I mean by that is a lot of people say, oh, I'm not on social media. I need to be on Periscope. I need to do this. I need to do that. I would rather have you pick 3 mediums that your clients are on and post consistently than be on everything and not have posted or post once, or the last time you posted was in 2014,
Exactly.
Yes. So consistency, if that's for you once a month, if it's once every other week, just decide what it is going to be for you. And, that also couples with a good strategy of what you're going to be posting that really reflects your business. But that's the first thing. And then I'm a big believer in the power of momentum. And what I mean by that, and I always love the examples I give, is, so I got married about 3 years ago, and we had our baby about 2 years ago. And I learned a very profound thing. People loved being able to see me go from getting engaged to picking out the dress, to picking out the flowers, to posting this, to posting that. Same with the baby. They love the picture of, oh, it's a boy, and then it's like this, and so what I learned from those that applies to a business is that you can't just post once. Let's take the summit, for example. I just can't post once on social media that, oh, I'm having a summit, and no one liked it and no one commented. So I'm like, oh, no one cares. I see a lot of people do that in business. They're like, oh, I posted it and I didn't get any response, and so I'm done with Facebook. You need to post using the power of momentum. You need to make sure that you post, okay, behind the scenes, hey, we're getting ready for the summit. Hey, the summit is coming soon. Hey, here's a great quote from the summit. Hey, here's a sneak peek at the video. It's really building up that momentum so that when you launch something, and this goes for a summit or an event you're having or anything that's going on, it's like people have seen it multiple times and they're just as excited. They feel like they have something, a stake in it, because they've been able to see the progression. So I call that the power of momentum. And that's what I really encourage people to do when it comes to marketing.
So I think that's really valuable insight. And again, I just feel like you're kind of talking my own experience there too. And it makes me wonder, you went through failure, started over, had great traction and momentum. Now, this is a stage where many of us realize that we got to make choices. We have to start optimizing our business instead of just creating new stuff all the time. What would you say is the thing that you figured out? I got to focus on doing this really, really well and make it the thing that I figure out how to optimize in order to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, that's interesting. So I do encourage everyone to really decide on maybe 2 or 3 things they want to focus on a year for their business. For me, it's really creating a business that really supports my lifestyle. I would say that every business kind of goes through stages. So there's like the building phase, there's the optimize, there's maybe the phase that you're just kind of, going with whatever is already set up in the business. And I probably spent the past 2 or 3 years really building. So right now, for me, it's about creating a lifestyle around it and creating, when we talk about doing what you love, your business should not be a job. It should not be like another 9 to 5. And so we talk about that in the summit a lot. But for me, it's really about not letting some of those habits creep into my business so that I actually take time. We're taking 2 weeks next month in Ghana, and we're just off the email, just enjoying the time with my husband's family. And, that's for me, like the life, that's why I work so hard, is to be able to have those moments. And I am trying to get better at only doing 3 things a day and really condensing my to-do list. But that's really where I am right now in my business. And I encourage people that as they're building their business to really figure out how to set it up so that it works for your lifestyle. And it's not another 9 to 5. It's not something where you're not getting paid what you're worth. And it's really something that lights you up. And your business won't always light you up. You're going to have those moments when you're like, I really hate my business right now, but I'm persevering because I know that, this is part of the growth that comes, part of the growing pains that come.
Yeah. Play the long game, right? Like, you got to keep your sights on where you're going, not just the maybe the messy, the chaos, the frustration, the overwhelm that you have in the moment. That's very true.
And those moments, you got to figure out for you. I ran a half marathon for the first time this past September, and I didn't do it because I'm a runner. I had never run a day in my life. I was at a conference. I heard that people that run and train are a lot more mentally adept, that they can respond quicker to things. And that was probably the most productive time. Those few months were probably the most productive time of my business. So I'm definitely not running another half marathon, but you got to figure out for you what's going to help you focus on your business and give your business what it needs while you also, grow your capacity to hold more.
You bring up a really interesting point, and this is something somebody told me about from the movie industry, and that is the guys that they hold those really big cameras, and they're harnessed in, and they have to hold them with their arms. You can't shake, right? Like you have to keep yourself really still, and they might be doing this for 8-10 hours a day. And so he was having a discussion with somebody. They said, "Well, how do you do that?" And he said, "When I go home, I lift weights for 2 or 3 hours."
Interesting.
Because I have to make sure my off time, I'm challenging my body more than during my work time. And I thought this is a profound concept that many of us never, ever think about. What are you doing to challenge your mindset, your habits, your performance, so that when you're in challenging times during your workflow, that's not what's challenging. You're more challenged externally, and then coming to work is like play.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that how you do one thing is the way that you do everything.
Yeah, that's another analogy.
Yeah, so, for me, how I ran that half marathon, me not wanting to get out of my comfort zone, me not wanting to go run when it was raining out. I mean, that's really how I saw gaps in my business, and that's what helped me really get much more attuned to how I could grow.
I love it. That's such a great example. We might have to make this one of our little sneak peeks out there. So I think this is so great. So let's talk about the summit that's coming up, Jackie, and we'll make sure everybody can see right here on the screen the URL, and it'll also be on the show page because I want to have people come and join us on the summit. It's jam-packed with great speakers and insight and tips on doing more of what you love. But let's talk a little bit about what is in it for the person who's joining us.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. This is the second year that we're doing this summit, and it's the Do What You Love Summit. And we're really focused on helping entrepreneurs become an online powerhouse, make six figures, and also attract ideal clients. Those are the three things that I tend to see the biggest challenges with is that people don't know how to leverage the online platforms. They don't know what to do on Facebook or LinkedIn. And so we have experts that are going to be talking about each of the social media platforms. And then we're talking to great entrepreneurs like Melanie, who are going to be sharing about how to really get to six figures and how to the mindset shifts and some of the other things that go into that to really create a powerful business. And, my specialty is really attracting ideal clients and helping people to find clients that really connect with them and that really value what they're here for. So that's really what the summit is featuring. And we're going to be featuring 21 different experts. Most of these people are just leading authorities in their field, like Melanie. And I'm just so excited. It's like every time I do an interview, I'm excited that you guys are going to be able to take part in this, and it's all free. So that's like the icing on the cake is that you'll be able to take advantage of 21 different interviews. There's some goodies they're going to be giving away, and it's really going to help you. I know when we did the summit last year, we got so many emails and so many responses of people that were just so grateful that we had really combined this work together. And it really is going to help you, whether you're new in business or you're someone who's in business that doesn't know how to leverage some of the online components that have come out. That's really what it's going to help you, get really attuned to.
So I know you can't give all of it away, but let's maybe talk about a couple of the people, something you're excited that they're going to share that our listener would maybe be excited about too.
Yeah. So we've been really combing the market for some of the best experts out there when it comes to some of the specialties. So, for example, and I was just kind of pulling up my list here because I'm like, I don't know who to talk to, but, we're talking to one woman named Irna who has built her entire business from Instagram. She came to the US. She barely spoke English and was, I think, in a hospital bed trying to figure out how to really build her business. And so she turned to Instagram and has been using Instagram and Pinterest to really build her business. And so, she's not sharing the fluff stuff. She's sharing details about what you can do, how you can approach it to really be able to build that aspect of your online business. We're talking to Kristen White, who
I love Kristen.
Yeah, I know you know Kristen. So she actually is, in a similar industry as me, but she just helps a lot of people that have those more soul or what's the word for it? She helps people really build their media and their voice in the media. And she really works with people who are more like healers and things like that. But it's really giving you the practicals. And she really goes into depth as to what to do to get media, what not to do, how to really do great videos. So that's phenomenal. We have a woman named Wendy Weiss who is an expert at sales. And I know some of you might hear the word sales and turn your nose up and but it's essential to be able to grow a business is that you're going to have one person on the other end who's buying what it is that you are offering. So she talks about how to really do sales and how to make it feel authentic to you and how to get up through some of those, moments that you're like, ugh. So those are some of the folks that we have. And I'm just kind of looking through the other list of people. But it's really about putting together some of the great strategies, because I don't like, and I don't like when you go to summits and it's just like this fluff stuff and you don't get down to like the
Right.
nitty gritty. So I do my best to ask very detailed questions so that you guys are going to walk away with some tangible strategies that you can implement today to be able to really take your businesses to the next level.
Great. I love it. So we've got the URL right here for you. Make sure that you go to the show page at melaniebensonstrick.com, and you can just type in Jackie Kotei. That's Kotei. If you want to find the podcast episode right here. You can also find us on iTunes if you like using iTunes, and you'll make sure every week when we release the new episode, it's right there on your smartphone or iPad or whatever device you're using. Jackie, thank you so much for being here today. It's funny.
Thank you so much, Melanie. It's always a blast.
I know. It's really, really awesome to connect with someone who's such a kindred spirit. And we obviously share a lot of philosophies in life, and I'm really excited for the summit, to be in the lineup with these amazing experts. And my whole passion in life is helping people really do more of what they love, but creating a business that is just so easy to run and so enjoyable and so profitable that it makes your life amazing.
Yeah, and it can happen. I just want to encourage, as we wrap up, I just want to encourage your audience with that it can happen, that it's not
Absolutely.
just like a fake thing, but you can have a business you really love doing. So
just don't try to figure it all out on your own. That's really where you get stuck. And the summit's a great opportunity to tap into some wisdom of other people who've been there. So we'll see you guys all on the summit. Give Jackie some love. I'd love to have you guys come and share what you got out of today's session. MelanieBensonStrick.com. You'll find it. And we've got the URL right here again for you that you can tap into this summit that's coming up. Even if it's already passed, don't worry. My guess is you'll be able to access replays, be able to tap into it. So, Jackie, thanks a lot. And we'll see you guys next week for another great episode. Bye, everyone.